This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Okay, yes, thank you. It's great to be back, and thanks for the warm welcome. And if you look in the sponsor opportunity green room, you'll see a rejuvenated WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words. I don't know what's going on there. World-renowned Sevens coach Mike Friday, champion executive coach and consultant Steve the Lizard Lewis, and Irish rugby legend George Hook weighing in what you see on the Your Company Name Here slate, plus a few surprises. Let's get to it. All right, fellas, we had an exciting international rugby weekend. Let's talk about what we learned or saw. John, anything pop for you?
Yeah, we learned a lot of the same. We looked at Argentina as a heck of a side. Look, Italy has gotten much better. Argentina absolutely boat raced those boys. It was impressive. England has some trouble winning. They've got a great side. They have a hard time closing out games. I don't think they win this week either, and it becomes a culture after a while. It's tough. Almost like Ireland, chokes all the time in championship games.
Gift.
Yo, this was another slaughter for the Northern Hemisphere. How do you have 60% of the money flowing, but none of the talent to be able to follow up with it? We saw again, Argentina, New Zealand, South Africa, it goes on and on. Even Fiji. Wales is supposed to be your advantage, and even Fiji's taking you out at that point. What's going on? What's going on? But,
what's going on is right. What the hell is going on with your background?
You know what goes on? It shows you that, hey, man, know where the power is and follow that. Follow that.
Okay.
Stop trying to do your own thing, Northern Hemisphere.
And that's after a bunch of these Northern Hemisphere teams have absolutely poached all they can from Fiji.
Yeah.
You got their best talent.
The New Zealanders that were poaching the Fijians, the New Zealanders.
Well, Caleb Muntz, you almost had a reverse poach with Fiji taking him from New Zealand, although he's basically Fijian, but he was born and raised in New Zealand, and he had a hell of a match.
Yeah, he did have a hell of a match. I mean, that's my take from the weekend. I thought the Fijians played true Fijian rugby, and I thought, obviously, with the influx of all of their Reg 9 players, which were predominantly most of the back line, they were dangerous. And this boy Muntz was at the centre of absolutely everything. Great 50-metre try, kicked his goals,
right,
controlled and played the game like a very untraditional Fijian 10. And then any problems, just give it to Tuisavova outside in the bowling ball at 12. And he came up with the big play to create the decisive try and score it himself. I mean, I thought they played very much the Fijian way, but also then showed some real street-wise smartness to close off a game against the Welsh team. And Welsh are young, they're developing, but they would have targeted that game to win it, and they came up short. But fair play.
Hey, Mike, what's happened to Wales? I mean, they were a powerhouse 10 years ago, 10 years ago. You talk about they could not be world champions. What happened?
Golden generation of players. I think what people don't realise is the financial pressure that the regional clubs are under, which means ultimately their pathway, their pipeline is under the pump. And don't forget as well, you've also got a lot of players coming this side of the bridge to England, and they're dual qualified, right? So Wibozo played Wales 18s, but ends up now playing for England. You've got a couple of other young Welsh players that are also dual qualified that will join the England system, because from a money perspective and a career perspective, it's probably better for them. So there's a lot of things going on in Wales at the moment, which make it difficult, and they're paying the price. They are paying the price. It's a different situation to what's going on in Scotland, but nonetheless, it is hurting them.
And Reece Zammit playing for the NFL didn't help them either.
That's less than ideal as well. Yeah.
But you see that? You see all that was just said? Fiji, Samoa, they've been doing this for decades. Still dominating. Wales just started for a couple years. Can't handle it all. I'm just saying. I just throwing it out there.
As absurd as this show can be, it's just taken on a new. Does Aaron Rodgers visit you for hallucinogenics in the off season? What the? What the
Hey, look.
is going on there?
This is where we go. Hey, we're ending the year strong. Thought process.
Let's move it along. We got a couple of lists this week. We have our Autumn Nation Series URC Player of the Week and our Autumn Nation Series Premiership Player of the Week. And to get us back on track, we'll start with Mike. For the URC, the nominees are Evan Etzebeth of the Sharks, Sione Tui-Pelotu of Glasgow, Josh Van der Fleer of Leinster, and Mike's ad of Glasgow's Tom Jordan. Who do you like, Mike?
Well, fair play. Etzebeth did play 80. He was the only one of the South African pack that did. But for me, in an underdog team of the Scottish boys, Tom Jordan, he came up with 4 or 5 line breaks. He did get over and create an opportunity in a try, which was pulled back. His high ball work was decent, and he was under the pump against the very powerful South African team, and he stood his ground. I think his meters, his stats were through the roof. So for me, I think, considering he was in the underdog team playing on the back foot, he was the URC Player of the Weekend. Jordan for me.
John.
Look, Scotland to me, one thing I didn't mention in about what did I notice from last week, Scotland is doing everything right. They're really moving up. They're not there with South Africa yet, but they're getting there, and it's really impressive what they're doing. But I'm going with Etzebeth. That guy right there changes games. Every game he's in, he changes. He's not just tough, he's fast, but he's a really smart player. Him being on the field changes the entire dynamic. I'm going with Etzebeth.
He is he is a uniquely smart, strong, fast player, continues to find himself in the mix every time where the ball is at. And for a guy of that size, it's not normal. It's not normal. And for to have been doing it for so long, ridiculous. So I got to give it to him again during going against Scotland, being able to continue to lead South Africa to show why they are the dominant team in the world.
All right, now I'm gonna back you guys up, Mike. I like your choice, but I'm gonna go with Etzebeth because he was just an animal. 80 minutes as well. As for the Premiership Player of the Week, the nominees are Chandler Cunningham, south of Harlequins, as the number 6. He had 2 tries. Marcus Smith did everything, including moving back to fullback. He's also of Harlequins. Maro Itoje of Saracens, 80 minutes in a match with a ton of points. Not easy for a big fella, but he played well. And AJ McGinty of Bristol, in a gritty 84-plus minutes to beat a reluctant Portugal with USA after mind-numbing decisions in the final minute and a half. Mike, who do you like in this one?
For me, it's Itoje. It was a fast game. It was all action. It was chaotic, but he put a proper 80-minute shift in. He came up with a decisive try to give England the lead. He led from the front, bit of a talisman, and was fighting to the end. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but I'm going to Itoje.
Matt, these guys don't need a walker to go out and walk their dog. They're professional athletes. Playing 80 minutes is not that unusual. That's what you expect of a guy like Maro Itoje. For a big guy like that, he's a world-class athlete. And if I had a team I was building, a rugby team, I would pick Maro Itoje to build that team around. That guy does everything that needs to be done. He does the dirty work, the hard work. He does all that stuff in the middle. He's a very smart guy, but he's a hell of an athlete. He is a hell of a competitor. I'm going with Maro Itoje.
John, I understand your angst and your complaint, but it's misdirected. It shouldn't be at yours truly. I'm just the messenger here. It should be at the coaches and the management.
They played 80 minutes. Like it's some freaking big deal. The game's 80 minutes.
No, it's like pitching 5 or 6 innings in baseball now. Nobody goes 8, okay?
This is the dumbest commentary ever. I'm losing brain cells by the minute going down this road.
Well, now you're negative because you didn't have any to begin with.
Oh, that's a great comeback.
Gift, how about your choice?
Yo, look, man, I've been hyping this dude all year round, and just to see the turnaround from the last Rugby World Cup to now has been significant. Shout out Marcus Smith on this one. The Filipino nation need to get some representation off of this through Marcus Smith right now, because Marcus Smith can do it all. He has been kicking. He runs. He knows how to set up the score. He knows how to put people into position. Like, he has been doing it, and he looks like he has legit joy versus what we saw in the Rugby World Cup, where he was just so tight. Yo, I'll give this one. For me, the award should go to Marcus Smith.
I'm going to go with AJ McGinty.
Did he play 80 minutes?
He played 80.
He played 80 minutes. He played 80 plus.
He played 80 plus, Mike. He played 80 plus. And not only that, but this win for Team USA moved him up in the rankings from like 19 to 16. And if they could possibly beat Tonga, they might have upped their rankings within the top 15 in the world in just a short 2 weeks. Who would have thunk that was possible the way they were going? John, you want to add a comment before we break on Team USA?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. On that Team USA, Matt, how many African-Americans were on the roster? How many African-Americans were on the website for Team USA?
Valid point, John. Valid point.
For the men's. How many, Matt?
Valid point. Why are you grilling me on this, John? I'm not the coach.
How many?
I think it was zero. It might have been one this week.
Does that not embarrass you?
I think we've talked about this where I've agreed with you wholeheartedly. And in fact, I was down at the HBCU Combine in Atlanta, which is a different story. And your thoughts were very well welcomed amongst that group. So I agree with you. So I don't know why you're attacking me on this.
Men's rugby, the men's 15, has a roster that is completely contrary to all of the great tenets and all the great things that's good about rugby. It's an embarrassment.
All right. Agreed.
And I have no desire to talk about them because I think, to me, it's a very disgraceful thing that they don't have more diversity. And that's only the men's 15. I'm not talking about the men's 7s. I'm certainly not talking about the women's.
Fair enough. Let's take a break, and we'll be back later with spreads and more. But first, we've got George and Steve waiting in the wings. We'll be right back after this.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we're back, and once again, we're welcoming Mr. George Hook and Steve Lewis. Guys, welcome. George, let's start with you. How are you?
I'm good. Rugby is in a difficult position, and I don't enjoy it. I'm sorry for being a killjoy, but I don't enjoy it anymore. I think increasingly there's a danger the audience may feel that way. And what Rassie Erasmus is doing to the game is criminal. There's no doubt about it. It's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. It is against everything the game stands for.
Are you talking about the 7-1 split?
Yeah.
So what he's doing is legal. They're doing it. They're getting away with it. They have a squad right now that for him as a coach, it plays into their strengths, right? They are 3 deep in every position of the forwards. It's a golden era of South African rugby forward play. So I don't really have a problem doing it. I do think it will bite them in the backside when Pollard pulls a hamstring, somebody else gets an injury, and then, Quagga Smith can play in the wing for you, but not very many other people can. So I think it will hurt them in a big game. Would he do 7-1 split in a World Cup quarterfinal, semi-final? I doubt.
George, you mentioned the Southern Hemisphere dominance. How much of an issue was it for you watching Joe Schmidt win at Twickenham?
It was a big problem for me, I must say. But I have to give him credit here because he appears to have undergone a kind of a brain transplant, because at Ireland, the players never passed the ball past number 12. They were literally forbidden to pass the ball. He goes down to Australia and they produced Australian rugby at Twickenham. So I have to say, he did a good job.
Wow. Okay. Steve, you and I were together in Atlanta watching some of these matches at various points. What did you take away from the Australian win over England?
Australia look like they're on the way back in a very un-Joe Schmidt-like manner. England, question marks. I mean, close games now. They're just there's starting to be something going on with them. I think mentally, they're there, but they're not closing it. Because 3rd minute of injury time. You shouldn't be losing games.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's shift gears because we got some controversy on the officiating, specifically in the Fijians win over the Welsh, which extended the losing streak for Wales to 10 international tests. Stephen, why don't you take this one first?
I didn't watch that one in full. I've watched the incidents. Wales got a yellow that should have been a red. When I look back at Rodgers, probably still a red. So I didn't think it was that contentious, but it's just a muddle. The thing is a disaster, and never illustrated more keenly than in Scotland, South Africa, where Christoph Ridley, who's about as competent a rugby referee as I am a Baptist minister, just had a disaster. Okay, not only did he kowtow to Etzebeth, I mean, talk about hero worship, referring him back to a ruck 3 phases prior to look at a croc roll. He managed to get a croc roll that wasn't a croc roll. He managed to get the person wrong. It was Rory Darge. It wasn't Cummins. It goes off, and then a TMO upgrades it to red. Unbelievable, and spoiled the game. The larger point here is we now have a problem, and it's been bubbling, that there are more column inches, or as many column inches on refereeing errors, officiating errors, and that affecting the game than on the game. And that's a problem for a sport. Okay? I mean, Mapimpi, I've sent you the photograph. The arm is across the line. It wasn't a try. Scotland's try call back. World Rugby Protocol states explicitly you do not go back more than 2 phases. They did it there. They called back the try. That's a 14-point swing.
Yeah.
Okay. I could throw in 4 or 5 other things he did, but he was awful. O'Keefe, not much better. Berry, not much better. So World Rugby has a problem. And to be fair, it's all World Rugby's making. This constant tinkering of the laws, it needs to stay constant for a 4-year cycle. So that's one problem. This red card model is another problem. Fine gentlemen that they are, the current crop of international referees are not up to snuff. They are not fit for purpose. Okay? Coaches make a mistake, they get fired. Players make mistakes, they get dropped. Referees, nothing's happening because there's no one to replace them. A coach's mistake affects the player and the coach. A player's mistake affects the player. A referee's mistake affects the player, the coaches, the fans, journalists, everybody. And we're now hitting a tipping point. I'm bitter because it's Scotland, but it's happening in every game. We're seeing incidents. So it is the toughest game in the professional world to referee. It's a tough game to ref, so I give them that. But we do not have a good crop at the moment.
Look, that was a superb contribution by Steve. Researched, everything good about it. Okay, but can I go back to 1951 again?
Absolutely.
South Africa against Munster. Munster score a perfectly valid try, and the fat referee, who's 30 yards behind the game, awards a forward pass against Munster, right? Now, mistakes were part of the game. And in this effort, this technological wizardry to cut out mistakes, players make mistakes, coaches make mistakes, and then we say, well, referees don't make mistakes, but they do. So scrap the video, go back to the referee doing it, and just live with the errors. Just live with them.
All right, fellas, we could do this all day, but we can't. I got to get a pick out of you. So, George, who do you like?
Well, I'm wearing a green shirt, but the key thing for me is that Argentina are much better. People underestimated the loss of Johnny Sexton. We had 2 flyouts against New Zealand, and neither of them were any good. 13 points is generous to Ireland.
I didn't like Frawley coming in that early. And was Crowley playing poorly in your estimation? And how did you...
You see, everybody's talking about drop passes and everything. The thing is, if Sexton was there, you would have had control. What you didn't have was control. And then everything else followed from that.
Stephen, who do you like?
I'm going to go back to Twickenham, and I'm going to go for South Africa. I'm quite confident that they're going to put England's chariots right where they need to be. The spread is 7.5. I would expect some fairly heavy rotation from Erasmus this week, but I think England are tottering on a precipice here. And I don't think they'll be able to live with South Africa's physical or mental strength.
And for my pick, you'll have to stick around after the commercial break when I'm with John, Mike, and Gift. But on that note, I want to thank Mr. George Hook and Mr. Stephen Lewis. Gentlemen, thanks. We'll see you again next time. From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City. Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. All right, we're back, and fellas, we've got some international tests to pick. Let's go round robin with a quick comment on why you made the pick. Let's start with France, -1.5 versus New Zealand. John, France is at home. Who do you like?
Rematch of the World Cup. I think France gets them this time. Give me France at home.
Gift.
Yeah, look, another rematch. I think New Zealand actually holds this one. A lot of confidence coming off the last game.
And Michael.
France to cover to do by more than 1.5, definitely. Dupont and I think enter Mac, and I think it'd be a different back line.
You know what? I was just going to pick New Zealand until you brought up that name again, that Dupont character, and he's playing at home. I'm going with France.
Suck up.
Moving on, England, Mike, versus South Africa. Let's start with your guys. Your guys are underdogs by 7.5 at Twickenham. What's going on?
I think this is the game we get right. I'm going England.
Oh, you're true to your colors. John.
I love the way England competes, and they have been competing tough the last couple years. I don't think they can win the game. I think it's going to be close. I think they keep it within the points.
Gift.
I think 7.5 is a little bit much. I think England. Look, England is a legitimately talented team that just doesn't finish. I think South Africa is going to come off tired. England for the points. South Africa for the win.
I disagree with all of you. I like South Africa by at least 10 in this match. The next one up, the Welsh hosting Australia. 3.5 points. Australia are the favorites. Mike.
I'm going Wales to win this because I think the Australians are physical as the Fijians, and I think the chaotic game will suit the Welsh. So I think Wales win at home.
Wow. Mike, are you imbibing in whatever Gift is selling down there with that?
I'm just looking at his background and I'm just mesmerized.
Okay, so that's what's going on here. It's an unfair advantage. John?
Yeah, I don't know if Gift's on drugs, but I wish he would share because I want to scream like that. I hate disagreeing with Mike because he's forgotten more about rugby than I know. But I'm going to go with Australia. I think they boat race these boys. I think they're going to be.
Absolutely. Gift.
This is the most classic letdown game for a young Australian team that just found success finally after like 5 years. I think Wales actually takes this one, and I think they cover and win this, but I think it's going to be a tough game for at least the first half.
Okay. I think I'm just looking at it basically Warren Gatland versus Joe Schmidt. I'm picking Joe Schmidt every day of the week. Australia, I think, is the opposite of what you just said, Gift. I think they're going to get more confidence and more momentum.
What happened to brief comments?
From that win. Next one. Ireland, -12.5 in Dublin versus Argentina. Mike.
I think Ireland win and cover the 12.5.
John.
It's not a championship game, so Ireland has a good chance of winning. No. I think Ireland wins, but I think Argentina keeps it close. I think they're going to win this game. Argentina's been surprising a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised here if Argentina does something crazy.
They look very good this weekend. Gift.
They had a nice little break against Italy. I do think that Ireland is going to win this game. I think this is going to be a big one. I think Ireland covers and wins this.
I concur. I think Ireland wins big at home to get some better feeling back for the fans. Scotland at home versus Portugal. Mike.
I'm hoping that Scotland picked the team that they played last weekend. I think Scotland absolutely smash them.
John.
I don't know if you've ever rented a mule, but we beat a rented mule. They gonna beat these boys like a rented mule. They gonna beat the damn shit out of these boys. They gonna beat the hell out of these boys. Don't go to Scotland. Portugal, if I'm you, don't get on the plane. You are going to get killed.
Gift.
Yo, see, this is the part where I get annoyed with the Autumn Nation series and the concept because of the fact that it's a bunch of friendlies. So there's a chance that Scotland's not going to put a good team together. But that being said, I I think Portugal is going to keep this one close because they're scrappy. We keep forgetting what they did in the Rugby World Cup. It's a scrappy team. Since we don't have really a spread for them, I look at Scotland to win this, but I think Portugal is going to keep this within 10.
It is cold in Scotland, Giff. Remember that. Portugal
Oh, you know what? Friday.
True.
Oh my God! I hope it's not hot, burning up like it's 83 degrees down in South Africa with no humidity.
Never mind.
You know what the travel is like from Lisbon?
Portugal can't do anything. My bad. You put that into context. Portugal loses on this one. Never
And
mind.
how about
Never
all
mind.
that
Scotland
travel
wins.
from Lisbon to Edinburgh? Come on, guys, you're missing it. You miss time zones, all altitude, all that stuff weighs in here. Scotland, they're gonna win this one. Huge win. And if anything, they might just get a couple of players some experience, but they're not going to change the roster entirely. They're gonna play their guys. That's what they do. Fellas, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our picks of the week after this.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now.
And we're back. And guys, just before we leave and go to our respective homes, we have one more bit of business to do, and that's John's favorite segment, Picks of the Week. Johnny, who do you got?
I tell you, I love watching England the last couple of years in these huge games. Those big guys, Maro Torji, Jamie George, those legends, and they are legends, they play their ass off in these big games. It is so fun to watch them play with national pride like they play with. I think they're going to have a great game, the game of the week with South Africa. I don't know if they can win. I think they keep it close, but I think a lot of points are going to be scored. Give me the over in South Africa, England.
Mike.
I think Wales win at home.
Gift, go ahead. Why not? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I? Can
Yeah,
I
go
go
ahead.
ahead? Are you sure?
I don't know. I don't know what the f- I'm looking at. So
That's just Gift thinking in the background.
Exactly. This is a game that's been checkmarked off by New Zealand. Can you hear me? And this is one that I feel like is going to be the question of, is Antoine Dupont, can you hear me, the real best player in the league right now? Continue to hear me straight. Antoine Dupont will get 0 tries. He is averaging about 2.5 per game. Hear me correct. He will get 0 tries in this game against New Zealand. They will not allow him to score.
I'm going to go with the over in points scored between Wales and Australia. I think they're going to score a ton of points. And on that note, guys, we are out of time. So thank you to WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words with his wacky background, Mike Friday, the world-renowned sevens coach, champion and executive coach and consultant Steve the Lizard Lewis, and Irish rugby legend George Hook. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other programs. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Tell your friends about us. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.